The show is made possible in part by its supporting sponsors: Blue Water Power Group of Companies, Joe's Discount Tire, and AskGuy.ca. Never know where I'm going to end up, right? I mean, I get around, right?
You do, Dave.
I do, but in a good way.
In a good way.
And I'm so happy to be sitting here with my friend Sue Weber. Nice to see you.
It's nice to see
again.
you.
It's been some time. I think we've bumped into each other maybe down at the Refined Fool was the last time I saw you.
On music nights and stuff.
Yeah. That's going to be part of this conversation for sure.
I think so. I have spent quite a bit of time playing music.
I'm sure that's pretty much what you're known for.
Yes, with a lot of different people from Sarnia.
Yeah.
I've played with just about everybody, I think, of my age group, that grew up in the 70s playing music. I could list them, but
it's a long list. We only got an hour.
Okay.
You're from Hamilton originally, I just discovered.
Yes. Actually, I was born in England.
Oh, okay.
I came over when I was 2. Not by myself, obviously.
Right.
So we lived in Hamilton, I would say, till I was 18 or 19.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom moved to Sarnia. She taught at Central. So I moved here with...
I'm always curious the reason. Do you know what was the reason for leaving England and coming to Canada?
My mother was a war bride.
Oh.
Yes. I go back that far.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
What was school like for you? I asked that of all my guests because I think that's a big part of our life that ends up influencing where we maybe end up.
It does. School for me, I enjoyed English. I liked languages. It was okay. I was an introvert, I think. I had some good friends, but music didn't come into my life until I met George.
And when was that?
That would be 1968.
Wow.
69.
I was born in 69.
There you go. I told you, I have a history.
Yeah.
I have a history. So I met George actually in a dentist's office.
Really?
Yes, the dentist was a family friend.
Okay.
And he said, look, I just need somebody to answer the phone because I wasn't trained for it. So I started off in the dentist office. And you got to write down of every patient, name, occupation, address, all that stuff. And George came in and I went, oh, interesting. Musician. So we struck up a conversation and we started to go out. I saw him play down. This is really going to date me. Down at the Colonial.
Oh, yeah. Heard of it.
You heard of it. You got to rub it in.
Yeah.
So I went to see him play and we started going out, got more serious. And basically he said, all the drummers all the groups I've been in, we've always looked for drummers. And guitar players are all over the place. So I learned how to play drums to be with George.
Is that right?
That's what I did.
And what a great guy. I was so fortunate. I can tell you a story about the first time I met him, but
it would be funny.
It was. And
he's funny.
It was. I was a DJ downtown at Mr. Mike's Variety Club. If you remember that.
Yes, I remember.
And he was playing a matinee. I'm sure you were there, and that was my first experience with George. And what was it for you what was it about George that you're like, gotta be around that guy?
I want to be around him because he was everything. Every day was an adventure with him.
Yeah.
He looked at the world in a totally unique way. He was funny and talented.
Yeah. And
we just got along. We were, obviously meant for each other. The first couple of years, we didn't argue about anything. It was just, we're on this path and away we go, and we like the same music.
Yeah.
I mean, he veered a bit more to Miles Davis, a little bit on the jazzy side, where I would go more bluesy and female vocals. But the main part of our life was we agreed on what to play.
Yeah.
And we were just lucky. We kept running into guitar players. We worked as a trio because he was on the Hammond by then, playing bass pedals or left-hand bass.
Right.
So we didn't need a bass player.
Right.
We just back up guitar players.
Organ was definitely his thing. I mean, that's kind of his trademark of George.
That's his instrument. He saw bands in London, blues bands, and he said, "That's the best seat in the house. That's where I want to be." So we bought the first one in '69.
Wow.
From Sue Piano. Well, he played a little M model, but he wanted the B because it was Black Church and it was the organ. It was the Hammond to play. So we bought one in '69. Yeah. And George, yes, he was just unique. That's all I can say about him. He just had a different take on life, and we got along just great.
Yeah. How long were you married?
52 years.
Wow. That's amazing. You don't hear that much these days.
No, you don't. Especially people that play together, that work together.
Yeah.
24/7.
And traveling together and traveling just on a plane for 4 hours with your spouse can be frustrating sometimes. Never mind.
Never mind in a van for 20 hours.
For how many hours?
Yes, we did Thunder Bay to Kingston once. I had to play.
Yeah.
One day in between. So there's a lot of traveling. There's a lot of time spent, but it was great. He always had, a story to tell after we played a few places. He's just funny.
Yeah. What's the traveling? I mean, there's, this was your living, right?
It was.
Being musicians was your living. And that, did you have support from families that said, yeah, go for it? Or did you get that, oh, you want to be a rock star?
Not really. My family was quite supportive. My mother sort of looked sideways at him, but once she met him, everything was fine. They got along really well.
She liked him.
She liked him.
Oh, that's important.
Yes, very important, because my mother was the mainstay of my growing up. So, yes, so George was a big part of my life. He's gone about 1.5 years now.
Yeah.
And I've been very fortunate to hook up with girls that I played with before.
Yes. Talk about that some more.
Sue McIntyre.
Yeah.
We played at the Canterbury with her. She was Sue Garrett then.
Yeah.
And that was the late 70s with Rick Steves. And that was a 3-year, I think, house job, which is lovely because you don't have to move anything.
Right.
So we're at the Canterbury, and Sue, I think the band broke up. Oh, they formed Windjammer. We played together there, remember?
I think I remember Windjammer. Yeah. Okay.
They formed Windjammer, which is really a good band. Then when Windjammer broke up, Rick came back. So there's these circles within circles. We play again. I play now with Sue McIntyre, and she just lost John. So it's very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just a really good time.
Is there comfort in it?
Yes.
Yeah.
To give us music that we can play together.
Yeah.
That we love.
Yeah.
And the other two girls I played with, the bass player before, was Sheila. She was in Sisters of Soul.
Yep, I remember that.
And that was a nice long time collaboration. And that was all girls, except for George. And everybody said,
I remember making fun
that?
about that.
That was hilarious.
The all-girl band and George.
And George. But we needed him, so we all looked at each other, said, okay, all right, we'll let him in. We'll let him in the girls' club. But that lasted almost 10 years, I think.
Yeah.
And then the guitar player married an American and moved. Sheila Ainsworth at the time moved to Windsor. So it's another circle. Now they're back. We've got a 4-piece band, and it's magic.
Yeah.
It is. It's just magic.
You going to write a book?
I started.
Do you have any memoirs written down anywhere?
What I did do a couple of pages just, to keep everything straight. It's an idea. But anyway, I've had a lot of adventures, and I've met some really, really interesting musicians. Musicians can hustle. They have this drive, and the Detroit scene was great. At the time, we were the right place, the right time.
I've heard a lot about that from different, like Drano and all those guys talked about that a lot. Ronnie Frey.
Ronnie Frey, I love his guitar playing. And the Capers, they were just a top-level band. So Detroit was an experience. our singer, Peter Demian, did Joe Cocker to the T.
Was that right?
Oh, the voice.
That wouldn't be easy.
Oh, it's not. And the physical movements, he was Joe Cocker. We met him in Thunder Bay, along with Huck Arena, who was the total opposite. He did all the ballads, and Gary Puckett and Danny Boy, if it's asked for.
Yeah.
So
right, if it's asked for.
And they were an odd pair. So George said, and he's great. George was very intuitive at what was going to work. He said, "Come on the road, you guys." So they came on the road with us. We ended up doing a few jobs, Oshawa and a few around here, London. Then we got into Detroit. We got heard by an agent, and that's another house job, another big piece of my history, was at the Surfside, backing up Peter. So, of course, we did a lot of Joe Cocker, and we met a female singer in Flint, and she was 19 at the time, and she did the Janis Joplin and the Roberta Flack and that part of it. So here's George and myself with usually Michael Urich from the Sioux, backing up these three great front singers. We had Al Reed for a while too. So we had a nice mix, and that was a great band, and that was a heck of a lot of fun. We commuted from here.
Wow.
Yeah, but not a hassle. You had to leave enough time to cross the bridge.
Yeah, right.
And all that kind of deal. But
when there was one bridge.
When there was one bridge, yes. Yeah.
I don't even know if there was a tunnel yet then, was there?
I think there was.
Was there?
Yeah, later on. Yeah, so I am very lucky that I have met and played with some very, very interesting people.
What have you learned the most, would you say? And I mean, this will be tough, but all your travels and we're similar. I love people, and I know that you love people too. You're a good listener. I've picked up on over the years where you ask, you really eye contact and all that stuff, and you're genuine when you're with people. What's the biggest thing you've taken away from all of the people that you've talked with?
You got to give people a chance. You have to get past that, initial greeting and as you said, make eye contact, find out what they like in life, and if you've got something in common, wonderful. Even the people that aren't, I make a lot of allowances. I'm pretty laid back.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But
the biggest takeaway is give people a chance. Just don't judge them by first appearances, because you never know, what's in there.
Are we judging too much these days?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, everything's divisive, and what tribe are you from, and it's pretty bad. Of course, the 70s were much more relaxed.
Well,
much more. Now
I was just born in '69, so I 79 I was 10, but my sister's older than me. And but my understanding of it is that people were frustrated. They'd been frustrated again, and the 70s was like feeling free.
Yes.
Is that an accurate thing for the 70s?
Definitely. The 50s were just so confining and repressing, and copy cut,
every guy wore a black tie and a white shirt, and everybody right.
So
I couldn't have survived that.
No. So the total flip flop was Haight Ashbury and Janis Joplin, and all those people that came out of that era. I just love that explosion of music. Did you like disco? Or did disco suck? Disco sucked as far as I was concerned. We did a few of them because I admired female vocals. Yeah. Plus, we did whatever it took. I mean, we had our, margins here, but we did whatever it took to keep working. Mm-hmm. We did do.
We have to adapt, right?
Yeah, we did Donna Summers, if was asked for. And it was fun. Yeah. That kind of thing. And we did a country phase with Rick Steves. And he's been a big part of our history, too. And yeah, so it's hard to encapsulate what I've learned, what is my main motto or belief, but it's just comes down to, give people a chance, get past that first facade, because a lot of people have facades. So to go back to the tribal thing, yes, it's everywhere. It's in politics. I mean, obviously, we're right next to the U.S., which scares me.
Why?
Well, they are much larger personalities than Canadians. Canadians are polite and more or less reserved.
We can go fight in the parking lot and then go have a beer after.
You got it.
Yeah.
But Americans, no, they harbor these. I shouldn't generalize, but that's the impression I'm getting from, the Detroit News. I watched that.
Yeah.
It's very divisive, and it's scary.
Yeah.
It's very scary.
Are we divided over here as Canadians too, to get a little political?
A little, but a much smaller scale as far as I see than the States.
How do you think we get past all that? You say the facade. Like, how do you, like?
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, because we've come. And would you say COVID had a lot to do with it?
Oh, sure. It drove people inward.
In
their own little circles.
Yeah.
So, COVID was sort of the end for us because George's health was getting a little bit worse and not playing, no fun. But he wanted to work up to the very end.
Yeah.
We did that last waltz.
Yeah.
The month before he died. And that was great. The response was wonderful. Everybody came out that I asked to play.
Yeah.
But the COVID, yes, that more or less did, that time did him in. But he was always wanting to work. And he phoned up Jamie Keelan. She played with her for quite a while. And she has a daughter that sings.
Yes,
just wonderfully.
Beautiful voice. I heard her recently at, I think it was Canada Day, actually.
Yes, Ella she's got the gift.
Yeah.
Some people have it.
Yeah.
She's got the gift. So up to the very end, I mean, George is getting more and more tired because he had multiple medical issues. But up to the very end, he was phoning Jamie saying, come on, let's go on the road. Let's go on the road. We can take Ella. And she was, 11 at the time or something.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go on the road. So up to the very end, he wanted to work. And so, yes, a lot of musical love of music. When he played, he would, it was effortless. He was like a musical savant or something.
Yeah,
I mean, some things escaped him. I mean, he could never fix anything. So I relied on everybody else to help fix things. But to play something, he'd give it a listen, and that was it. And then he
played by ear?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Could he read music?
Basic, chord charts if
C,
you needed it.
Middle C. And
But we played with a horn player the first couple of years. Then we went back, played with Al Reed and a horn player. Now, horn players play in flats and sharps, not the major keys.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
That's where George learned how to play in any key. He could play, B flat.
You'd really have to adapt then.
Yeah. Yes, you really had to. My job was easy. I just,
kept the beat.
But George, the horn player episodes, great players we played with. But he had to learn all those difficult keys. And he just loved to play the black keys. He just loved it. So yes, he knew how to play. He had it. And we just had a wonderful 50 years of, playing on the road, country, disco, blues I love.
Yeah.
Blues is
That's always been yours.
My very favorite.
Yeah.
So I follow Etta James, Bonnie Raitt, of course, all those girls that just have that soul.
Yeah. I love Bonnie Raitt.
Isn't she wonderful?
I've always, And it was weird because back in the 90s when I really first heard her as a DJ, it was, you know, it was her type of music a guy isn't her demographic typically.
Got it.
But I remember listening to her and I was just like, wow.
What a voice.
It's just amazing and super talented, right? Yeah. So it's interesting to hear, you know, like talking to you, you always come back to George, and understandably.
Yeah.
And there's so much love that was there, still is there between the two of you. I always had a chuckle, though, because he had this organ that had and I don't know the technique, it had the big spinner in it.
Leslie,
thank you.
Leslie speaker.
And like some people would nowadays just grab that little mini keyboard and you carry it in and away you go. And you guys had to have a trailer because he took this organ to every gig, didn't he?
We had a van.
Yeah.
The first van we had lasted, get this, 27 years.
Wow. That's awesome.
It was a 76 Chevy van. We painted it at the end of its life, you know, with a trim-clad rust.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. But it was a marvelous van. So, yeah, we loaded up, and everything had to go in a certain order or it wouldn't fit. But that organ, yeah, that was a workout.
Yeah.
Lifting that
I remember
thing.
seeing that and going, why would you do that? But, you know, I one of the conversations I had with him, he said, oh, there's no sound. I know they got this digital computer. It's not. No way, he said.
It is close, but once you hear it live, it's hard to replace it. I imagine.
And there's a feel in the keys too, probably, right?
Yep, there's a feel. So the organ, yes, that was a workout. That was a workout. The girls were very good. Our lead singers, we worked with some terrific women, and they knew how to pack the van. I mean, after a couple of times.
Yeah, you got a system right on.
Got a system right on. So, you know, we switched from Jamie. Jamie went to do her Shania Twain.
Oh, right.
Remember?
Yep.
She did that, and we segued lovely time into Pauline fronting us. And Pauline was a great singer. So Jamie said, well, I guess my job is I have to show Pauline how to pack the band.
Right.
So the girls learned how to pack the van, and and we did a lot of working out, lifting that thing. But it was worth it to get back to a synthesized sound. It's close on in a studio. I mean,
right.
You could fiddle.
Sure.
But live, no.
Yeah. So which was mostly what you did, right?
That's what we did. So the Black Church had the B3 at first, and yes, there was some marvelous gospel stuff. I like Lyle Lovett because he has that soul too. There's a lot of I listen to female vocals, but I like Lyle.
Yep, I do too.
And John Prine, that kind of
John Prine, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of music.
Yeah. It's did you ever get into the studio, Sue? Did you record an album? Or were you a studio musician?
No, not really. I've been in the studio a couple of times, and one was done for family just recently because George wasn't well at the end. So Adam Meyer was still recording, and I said, let's do just George and me. So we did a little CD, like 5 songs.
Nice.
You know. And
Adam's great at that too.
Oh, he's wonderful.
Yep.
So we dubbed the drum track in, and George did a piano and then organ track on it, and then I did the vocal parts. But that was mainly for family and to just have George record it.
Just something to remember.
Something I got.
Yeah.
So,
do you listen to it often?
I do.
I bet.
I do, and I've been talking to Kip the Cool Cat,
yeah,
and he's putting some old cassettes that we recorded when we were on the road.
Oh, yeah.
Putting that on a drive for me.
Cool.
So I'll have that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to preserve the past, but I just don't want to live there, you know.
Yep.
And I just feel very, very lucky that I'm still playing, and I'm really having fun, and I'm with a great band.
Yeah. Anybody famous that you played with? Or, I mean, I know you love all your musicians, but I mean, like Gordon Lightfoot or somebody? Or
No, we were a road band,
yeah,
and the occasional singer might drift in from doing a concert in the same town we were in.
Right.
No, We played with, you know, our band, the Good Time Band, and that was it. No, I did back up Doug Kershaw of all people, and he wandered in the surf side and played a couple of fiddle things for us. But no, nobody.
Or met.
George met a lot of very interesting people. He got down to California in '76 with Terry Danko and Jim Atkinson, who were playing with us a few jobs. So Terry, being Rick Danko's brother, was talking to Rick. And after the last waltz, Rick wanted to have a band with his brother in it.
Right.
To, you know, continue.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So George went down to California for a year.
Yeah.
Packed the B3 and the Leslie in the van.
No fear?
No fear. He drove down there for 3 days. He said he slept in the desert for a few and drove through Las Vegas and a couple of big cities and doesn't even remember going through there. But he got there and he stayed at Shangri-La Studios for a while. So he got to meet everybody. So I'd say George met just about anybody that was anybody. He got to play on Rick Danko's album.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And at the studio, there's a constant influx of, you know, big names. And he phoned me one night and he said, "You'll never guess who came through tonight." It was Mick Jagger and a couple of beautiful girls with Juan Wood. And I went, "Oh, okay." And he said, "I was just playing along," and they just drifted in and played. So George got that treatment, got that, you know, era, that episode.
A lot of respect.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he met Neil Young. He met all the people that were coming through that were going to play on the last waltz, because they had a lot of different big names coming through there. That was quite the night.
I bet.
Yeah. So I live vicariously, I guess, through, you know, that experience.
Sure. So when you're not, I can't imagine not, but when you're not doing music,
yes.
What are there those moments? It's not music. It's what else is Sue ever doing?
I read a lot. I love mystery and crime novels. So I read a lot. I watch PBS. They have really good shows, music shows.
Yep.
You know, documentaries. You know, other than music, no, I don't lead a very exciting life.
Do you write?
No, I don't.
No.
No.
Why not?
Because there's so many good songs out there already.
Okay.
You know, there's so many really, really good songs that have survived the passage of time. And talk about a circle again. We're doing Joe Cocker stuff with the girls.
Right.
That I did in Detroit.
Yeah.
So there's songs that survive, and I don't know, I just found that whatever I wrote was kind of inane, and I couldn't see it going anywhere. So we just played.
Yeah.
We were a bar band that changed as the era changed too. So I've done...
and survived it.
And survived it and kept on working.
Yeah.
We've been like, I got to mention Petrolia, because in between all those segments, like the Surfside, the Canterbury, Sisters of Soul, in between there, we'd pick up a guitar player that was in town, or Mike Urich was around, for example. We'd go play Petrolia.
Yep.
Ozzy is the greatest club owner that ever existed. He comes to see us now.
Yeah.
But back then, I mean, we played there with Sue and Rick. Played there with Michael Urich. George and I did a duo there. And he was so accommodating. He just loved musicians.
Yeah.
You know, you're out of work, come on. You know, play his weekends.
That's the Ozzy I know.
Yeah.
Everybody knows.
He's lovely.
Yeah.
So he gets the star for being the best club owner.
Well, there you go.
He gets the star.
Let's talk about the business side of music.
Yes.
And it's an interesting conversation every time I ask the question, because I know, like, for example, are musicians undervalued?
Definitely.
Yeah. Why? Because I know, like, there was a time, like, I go back to house band, you know, like maybe the Canterbury or a Mark Blaney
Yes.
that played Robbie D's,
Yes.
and that it was a great living.
It was.
But then
Was.
it was, right?
Yes.
But it the finance side of it hasn't kept up with,
No.
like bands are still getting $100 a head.
Yep. Yes. And
So-
that's why there's so many tip jars out there,
Yeah.
which I don't really like, because it should be up to the venue.
Yeah. I don't mind tipping. I try to throw in, but I think maybe I do because I get it. Because as the karaoke guy, I never put myself in the same category as a musician. I sang and I was
Yes.
an entertainer,
Yes.
right? And I kept the room going. But musicians, I've always been impressed by. There's never mind 3 people. There's 8 people. There's 12 people. There's 5 people up on that stage,
Yes.
all doing their part, and it comes out, and you go, "Wow, I recognize that song."
Yes.
The effort that's put in, the rehearsal, the practice, and everything else. Who would you? It's a dangerous question, but whose fault is it? Is it the musician or is it the venue?
Yes, that's a difficult question.
Yeah.
We made very good money, but that came down to the fact that there was 2 of us. For a single musician, it still was a bit difficult back then, not as hard as it is now. Whose fault? There's a lot of musicians that really want to play, so they will go in and basically play for a tip jar.
Yeah.
Which for me, the venue is still making money.
Yep.
I have sympathy for club owners, but at the same time, and also there's no union. There was a union.
Yeah.
Was.
I was going to bring that up, actually. It's funny that you did.
Yeah. So there's no union.
Yeah.
I remember union meetings, and Carl Starkman, Jimmy Chevalier, John Chevalier, and they were fun. I mean, you got to meet all your musician friends in the same predicament, but that didn't survive. I don't know what the problem was there, other than musicians are such a diverse lot. They're all different personalities, So I can't really see them agreeing on
how this should go.
Not playing because the venue is not paying, because they really want to play. It's something that you have to do.
Yeah.
It's something you have to do. And there's a lot of younger musicians that just want to get out in front of people, like singles, for example.
Yeah.
They don't need to make a lot, so they put up the tip jar. Now, the exception to that, I'm getting off the topic.
No.
Exception to that is Jeff Black. He has played with us. He's gone up north with us. He's a wonderful musician and a great guy, and he works hard at working all the time.
Yeah,
and
he
does.
it.
Because he can do a single, a duo, a trio.
Yep.
It all depends. I mean, I see 5 or 6 piece bands, and I'm going, I don't think they make a lot. Singles are okay, but I don't know whose fault it is. It's economic. It's a change.
Yeah.
People don't value bands as much. There's so many other diversions.
Because we can't seem to charge a cover charge in this town.
Not in this town.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult.
And would you agree that there are musicians that are doing it for a living, and then there are musicians that
who cares? They're retired from Chemical Valley,
or are working at whatever job, career.
Yes.
And I want to play the weekend, and $100 pays for my beer or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And but the venue side of it too is they're bringing in the entertainment to attract people to come in, so they eat, drink, and be merry.
Yep.
If I can do that with one person, I don't need 3, because then I got to pay more. Like, it's the bottom line, right? Yes. So maybe I shouldn't have said whose fault is it, but more of where does it all come from that has affected the fact that musicians haven't gotten a raise in 30 years.
No, they haven't. Netflix, social media, you can get anything you want.
Yeah.
at,
Click of
whatever.
a button.
So it's not the same setting. It's not the same economic time we're in, and the social media has taken over. That's a big reason for me is why bands aren't paid and aren't used.
Because of the accessibility, so easy now.
It's so easy now.
99 cents for a song, or not even, like Spotify, right? There it is.
Yeah.
And musicians aren't really getting paid as much off of Spotify as they should either. That's a whole other story. But Google that for sure.
Yes.
But it's interesting. Even with the karaoke, like I always found, I don't do it anymore. I haven't in years, but I've asked around, and they're still getting paid the same in a bar that I was charging. And Ronnie Frey.
Yes.
I love him.
Yes, he's great.
But he hates karaoke. He told me
he's very outspoken.
Oh, I hate you, karaoke Burrows. But a great friendship there. I haven't talked to him a lot really. But
Ronnie
he was one of those ones too. He's like, because I had the best band in the world.
Yes.
It was called a CD.
Yes.
It played exactly the same way every time, and I could hear it. I knew how it was going to go. I didn't have to pay as much attention. Not to take away from my own singing ability, but it was different. And I would get. I remember. That's terrible. Cliff
Erickson.
Yeah.
He had a hold on people. He had that magnetic.
He still does.
So he's like. He makes everybody just relax when he's up there because he is so relaxed.
Yeah.
Yep. So, Cliff.
And then who was it that used to run the open mics at Ups and Downs?
Oh, Rick.
No, not Rick. Cleve? That's terrible. And he would go to Florida and play all the time and
come back.
And then come back.
Maybe I was on the road for that time.
But anyway, I remember getting pulled up on stage at Ups and Downs. Hey, come on up here. And I was much younger then too, and it was, come on up and sing. Yeah. And I'm like, why not? Don't have the words in front of me.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to, because it's totally different. Yes. But that being said, I've had musicians that I've known come into the karaoke bar.
Yes.
And I'll say, hey, come on up and sing. And they're like, I need my guitar in front of me. I need my feel, right?
Yes.
So it's definitely two different. I never put myself in the same category as musician. But the business side of that still was, I think there's musicians and then there's business people. Yes. And there's musicians that are not good at the business side of things. You should just play and let somebody else handle that.
If you're in a position to do that.
Yeah, because they got to get paid too.
Yeah, they
10% maybe. Right?
if you have an agent. Yeah, we paid that for a long time, especially down in Detroit.
I mean, if the gigs are flowing and they're getting good prices for it.
Oh, I don't mind that, as long. But there's some agents that, you just turn down the job and it's the second-rate ones. There were a lot of first-rate ones, and we were lucky to get in with a couple of them. So the business side of it. Look at the band, for example.
Mm-hmm.
That one person in the band that knew business and how to handle it was Robbie Robertson. So look where he is now. He's great. He's running, some media. He's working for a record company. But the rest of the band were for the music. They were what I would call, non-business minded musicians. Right. They just needed to play.
And there's a lot of trust in that too, right?
Yep.
With the business.
Oh gosh, yeah. You gotta trust your, band member that they're taking care of business.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, it's
And do you have to, like, it's not a normal 9 to 5 or where you know exactly, and you can be out in the bar.
Yes.
Want to have a drink, and next thing you know, by the end of the night, did you ever get caught into any of that, or?
Oh, the alcohol part?
Yeah, like spending too much money when you shouldn't, or?
No, we always had a deal with the bar.
Yeah.
When we wanted to drink.
Yeah.
And I always found that if I had 1%, it was okay. I could handle. I didn't like the feeling of going overboard, even when the owner said, "Oh, you know, for a house job down in Detroit, we paid, George and I, like $12 a week or whatever. We played 5 nights a week.
Wow.
So whatever you wanted, you could have. But I just found that for me, excess didn't work.
Yeah.
Because I like to play well and I like to be on top of it. So it didn't work out for me. But I have seen, oh yes, some musicians, and unfortunately they crossed over to the other side. Doesn't work. You can't keep your head together in the business and, you know, your reputation.
Yeah, it's quite an environment, and I can relate to all that.
Yeah, it's very easy.
Yeah.
To go over the other side.
Yeah.
You know? And then that's not even talking about drugs. So that's a whole other, you know,
right,
bad side. You know, recreational, fine, but you know, not when you're playing. Didn't work. Not for me anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like to be able to, you know, if it wasn't a house job, I want to be able to take my set apart and pack it and know where all the parts were.
Remember where I put everything, right? I need that tomorrow.
I need that tomorrow. I got to know what's in that bag, you know, that kind of deal.
What about, I mean, we're sitting here in this wonderful church setting here. Yes. On Telford Street.
Yes.
And is gospel, is any of that, is that a part of you?
That was a big part when we were with Sisters of Soul.
Yeah.
Because we had Cheryl and Kathy and Fran and me. And George didn't want to sing. He said, no.
He didn't want to go
He did
gospel.
A couple of bluegrass things, you know, but that's the whole.
Just give me my
on the other side. Yeah, so we did some gospel stuff, and it was a lot of fun. I love gospel.
Yeah.
The B3 fit for that, and we had 4-part harmonies. Yes, I love it. That's why I listen to Lyle Lovett too, because he goes to that side too.
Yep.
And it's just, it does your, you know, for a hackneyed term, it does your soul good to hear that stuff and to be able to sing it.
It just puts, I mean, I've always said, even if you don't consider yourself a religious person, the vibe and the feel that comes out of gospel music. That was one thing I always really loved about Elvis. I was a big Elvis fan, but I you know, I could care less about Hound Dog or whatever. I was always about
his early stuff.
Oh yeah, and when he did the gospel stuff, I just like and Glory Glory Hallelujah, all that sort of stuff. Like that always hit for me. That's probably why Bonnie Raitt, go back to her, right? And Lyle Lovett, like she just, and my buddies used to make fun of me. What are you doing listening to Bonnie Raitt? Well, I was 20, right? And listening to Bonnie Raitt.
Yeah, that's not normal.
Was not the norm, right?
Not the normal.
If you, is there anything you haven't done yet that you go, I still need to do that?
That's a toughie. I don't think so. I'm so superbly happy to be where I am right now. To be able to play and, you know, just set my stuff up, play my 3 or 4 sets. We practice. And just to be able to keep learning tunes because music never ends.
Yep. Keeps going.
Keeps going. There's always something to learn.
There's always another note to be played.
That's right.
Yeah. Would you say, if you were to describe yourself, would you say you're an observer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So, did you have to keep George in line sometimes?
Yes, I did. George, no.
Don't say that, or
no, don't say that.
Sorry.
Or apologize for that remark you just made. Oh, he was very to the point and beyond to the point. Sometimes.
But you probably snapped him back in place pretty good.
Yeah, I did. George, you can't talk to that person like that. Or you're going to get us fired. That's. So yes.
Did you ever get fired from a job playing?
Just once.
Yeah.
And in 50 years, that's
was it George's fault?
It wasn't George's fault. It was the band was a really good band. We were just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Okay.
We weren't hard enough rock.
Oh, I see.
And the agent put us there without really thinking about what he was doing. And we've been double booked. That's what I meant about good agents and not so good agents. Yeah. If the agent is kind of shady, then they'll book 2 bands. Or if it's a long trip, if it's the Northern Ontario trip, 1 band might not make it, that kind of deal. So we did get double booked a couple of times. My very first time on stage was up in Hearst, Ontario.
Oh, okay.
And that's what happened. I just bought the set of drums. I practiced for 2 weeks. And this is really, through. I practiced for 2 weeks in my father-in-law's living room. He signed for the truck. We were in the truck. We had a credit card and I think $10. The agent said, go up to Hearst. So we go to Hearst, and club owner says, oh, you're the band. It's a long drive in January.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes. So we get there. Snow, piles of snow everywhere. And the owner said, oh, there's, you set up there, and there's a room upstairs. So we get stuff set up. We go to sleep, and bang, bang, bang in the morning. Get up. The band is here.
Oh, whoops.
The band is here.
Yeah. Yeah, we are.
Oh, God. My introduction to music. So pack everything up, talk to the band that came in, and they were quite nice. And they said, we just came from Elliott Lake, and the owner is pretty easygoing, and he needs a band. So that's what we did. We just traded spots.
Right.
We went to Elliott Lake, stayed there for a month. And everybody came in on skidoos. It was that time of year.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So
how do you get around up there, right? I guess
well, all
that's what you did.
Skidoos came in, and we went to see a cabin out in the middle of nowhere, and he was a real honest, a good trapper. He had all these dead animals hanging from the ceiling, and I was on the back of a skidoo, and yeah. So that was my introduction.
Are you? I mean, adventurous, obviously, because you went on the road. I mean, that takes courage to go and maybe like you gotta get to Elliott Lake, but along the way getting there, there's so much that could go wrong.
So much uncertainty.
Yeah. How do you like?
Well, because we were together, I think.
Yeah.
It was like, well, okay, you had a few breakdowns. You fix whatever's wrong, and you just keep going. And I would say that we were very, very lucky. We kept running into guitar players that we could back up.
Okay.
And that's what we did.
Yeah, you had to be in sync with.
Yes.
That's definitely got to be in a band for sure.
But yeah, there was a lot of uncertainty, and it was a big step, and it was, okay, let's go. The dentist I was working for went back to school. He stopped his practice.
Okay.
George said, I can't find drummers. So my uncle bought me a set, my godfather. So I blame it all on him.
Right. It's been a good life, right?
It's been a great life.
Yeah.
Just wonderful.
And money, kind of back to the business side of that thing too is, I mean, a lot of musicians, they want to make it big and they want to have the big album and all that stuff. But
if they're a songwriter,
yeah,
yes,
you were just happy.
I was just happy.
This was your career on the road, and you made a living, and maybe didn't make $1 million, but you're still here, and the bills got paid. And then times, I'm sure you were really broke at times.
Definitely.
Right.
There was one summer I remember.
Yeah. What year was that? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't remember. It was in the 80s.
Yeah, okay.
And I would buy a big bag of potatoes and a big bag of onions, and we drank Kool-Aid, and not the bad Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? Like, we couldn't afford beer. We couldn't afford, good food. But we made it through that summer, and then things picked up. But that was probably the only downside, I think. I looked back at the old pay books, and there was a few out of work, sorry about that, chief, out of work, that kind of deal. But no, we were just very, very fortunate. George said that there were some wild angels looking after us. Remember that quote? Probably
true.
Yes.
Let's come right up to today now and talk about the band that you're in now.
Yes.
And tell everybody what they call.
The band I'm in now is called the Rhythm Junkies.
Yeah.
And we are 4 women that love to play music.
Yeah.
So what I'm happy, I'm talking about circles. I'm playing with Sheila again. I'm playing with Sue McIntyre.
Yeah.
Sue Garrett at the time. So it's like a conversation with friends. You just pick up where you left off.
Yeah.
And you know how they play. You know what kind of music they like. And we do 4-part harmonies, which are beautiful. And we're always learning songs and looking for the next one that's going to work for whoever.
I have so many times seen the posts about you ladies playing out, and I've heard about the Rhythm Junkies, and I've tried a couple of times to get there, and then what my life, what happens, and
you gotta come.
I'm trying. I want you to know that.
Okay.
I guess I have to make a better commitment, but I've heard so many great things. People have said, have you heard Dave, have you heard the Rhythm Junkies yet? And I'm like, no, but I hear all about them all the time. And I've, from separate people, even that I know don't know each other, have said.
Really?
The Rhythm Junkies. So you're doing something right there, ladies.
It's magic at times.
Yeah.
It definitely.
Yeah.
We just, the harmonies, because everybody has done vocals for a long time.
And the harmony, I just love harmony.
Well,
done properly.
Done properly. It means that the band has made a commitment.
Yeah.
I mean, you can put a single front person up there and whatever, no harmony work. That's okay. But once you rehearse and commit, then the harmonies come into play. And we pick songs that have, that's a part of the song.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's got to have harmonies in it. And yeah, so it's, the response has been amazing. We've been together a year and we're booking into next year.
That's awesome.
So, and we've done a lot of what I would say, you know, a step up. We've done Rib Fest, which went really well. And in August, we are going to go and play on the Rotary stage at Grand Bend.
Oh, nice.
The big one.
Yeah.
At the end of the main road.
Okay.
So you're playing on this big,
cool
stage, and you're looking out at the lake. And everybody brings their chairs. And yeah, we're playing that. And then we got the Duke that week too, the Duke Cruise. And that sold out really quickly.
Yeah.
It did. So
the Duke.
I'm just, I'm looking forward to that. So it's all been fun because we're all a different personality. Everybody in the band is different.
Yeah.
You know.
And that works.
It works great. If you get 4 people that are the same and no, it doesn't work. You're colliding into each other. But because we are different, you know, personalities, and we have played before, it just works. And it's just magic. I don't know what else to describe. From the very first, even when we were rough and things weren't polished, we still got a good response.
Yeah.
And now after a year, everything's getting really tight.
It's out there. So good for you. Congratulations to you.
And I just love as I said, the personality. Sheila is upfront and the party person. You look at her and you go, that's, you know, she's fun. Sue's a bit more serious. Donna does a great job on vocals on Doobie Brothers. She's a little, she's been trained.
Okay.
And she can find any harmony part that
you
need. Donna's got a great ear. And we all work at it, and it just gets me out of bed. It keeps me alive. Music.
Got a purpose.
Got a purpose, man.
Yeah, got a purpose. And you shared your talents in Sarnia for so many years now. And blessed to George, you know, did the same thing. The two of you, you know, George and Sue, like everybody in this town who maybe isn't even a musician knows who George and Sue is. And
George would go out without me, and everybody said, "Where's Sue?"
Right.
Where's she? Yeah.
I get that too.
Yeah.
They like Jenny Moons more than they like me. That's why I would say. Yeah, right. But thank you so much for
it was fun.
for not just sharing your talents.
Yes.
I consider you a friend, and I appreciate our friendship.
Okay.
And I know you've got so many more stories. We could probably do a documentary here. But
life on the road.
I've really been looking forward. I look forward to all my interviews, but this one was like, I haven't really had this kind of sit down with Sue Weber in a long time. And I remember the last time I saw you downtown at Refined Fool.
Yes.
I was just dropping something off to Dan Tidball.
That's right. Yes.
And my wife was out in the car, and I was like, oh, and I got in the car, and she said, what? And I'm like, well, Sue Weber's sitting over there. And I said, I really wanted to sit down and have a beer with her and talk some more, but I got to go. So this was fulfilling for that.
It was fun for me too.
Yeah.
I had to go back and actually think.
Yeah.
You know, for a couple of.
What am I going to talk about?
Not you know, certain years, because there was a lot of fill-in stuff.
Yeah.
Between the blocks of, you know, the Surfside and then the Canterbury.
Oh, right.
And then, you know, the airport, we played a lot there.
Oh, the airport. Hughes Junkyard, did you ever play there?
No.
No?
No, I didn't play it.
It was kind of a biker bar, I think.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
And I've played with so many great local musicians that aren't with us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
John Cooper, Cherry Titian, You
Oh,
know,
Terry.
all these lovely people
Yeah.
that aren't here. So this was nice revisiting all those gigs all that time.
Awesome.
Great. Thanks, Dave.
I promise we'll get out and see the Rhythm
Okay.
Junkies, and
Yes.
we'll share this around. I say it every time. I say people click the like and the love, but the share button is the most important button you can click to share Sue's story and George's
Yes.
and all the other people that I interview here
Yes.
on the show. But that's all the time I got for you this week. Have a great week and an even better weekend. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye for now. That was easy.